there's been a lot of conversation about this. In fact, their GM in their front office actually came out today and said that this decision was already in the works. They were just kind of waiting for the right time, and this felt like the right time. Citing things just like wanting to in the quote he mentioned continuity sometimes seems like a catalyst, but in this instance he saw that a lot of other teams in WNBA were changing coach, and he felt like now was the time to do this. Something I didn't know, and I believe actually our guy Dan tweeted this: the only coaches in the WNBA currently who have been with their current team for more than 2 years are Becky Hammon and Cheryl Reeve. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is 2 years or less. So there is a lot changing right now in the WNBA at the coaching position. This obviously comes on the heels of Seattle's head coach Noelle Quinn also being relieved of her duties out there as well. But what were some of your initial thoughts to the news that Sandy Brondello will not be returning to New York next year? And what do you think is next for both parties?
Definitely surprised. I think we were all pretty surprised by this. I think things got a little bit more confusing for a lot of us today, hearing a lot of those quotes from the GM.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, whenever you're parting ways with a head coach, clearly you're wanting to go in a different direction. It adds to the confusion when this coach is the winningest coach in New York Liberty history, just won them a championship last season, and from the outside in seemed to be a core, just as much a core part of their identity as Stewie, as Sabrina, even going back to the post-game presser where someone had asked Stewie about Sandy's job in the future and if she should still be the head coach. And Stewie's like, what the F are you talking about? Like, that doesn't even, that wouldn't even be possible. So it's really surprising. I was trying to listen to the GM's words and trying to gather some level of insight and understanding as to what they're trying to do. And, you know, he mentioned things like the way the league is changing. He brought up, he used the term bulletproof in terms of how he wants their preparation to be and their in-game adjustments. He said some things regarding that. I saw a lot of questions about Sandy not using the bench a whole lot in that Phoenix series. I saw questions about her game-to-game adjustments in that series, which I wondered too, because as just kind of one specific example, that inverted screenplay that I told you, to me, was the story of the series that Phoenix kept going to, Alyssa Thomas kept going to specifically pick on Sabrina. I don't think I saw any real kind of adjustments made just to that, like, one action. So that's just one example of something I would think of when you think about like adjustments in that particular series. I don't have a feel for like where they could be going. I know, like, you tend to think right away about like, okay, who would they be going with? Like, who's better than Sandy, or who's going to make you feel like you're going to be doing better than what Sandy just brought you as the head coach over the last few years. And even part of what the GM said made me think, because he said, like, again, some of these quotes might have come off a little weird, because he said something to the effect of, we're not a results-based organization. He kind of was like, it's not about like winning and losing. It's a weird way to put it. I was trying to make some sense of it.
Yeah.
But I clearly, they felt there was a feeling that, and I saw Christina Williams from Girls Talk Sports sharing some of her questions that she had asked in that press conference. And she had a good follow-up about trying to get out of him more about why they felt like Sandy wasn't the person to take them into the future, because he did a lot of talk about the changing of the league and players that are coming into the league. And so I was taking some of those context clues to say, I don't know if that means a younger coach. I know a lot of people are hoping it's not another male coach that's replacing a female coach, because that seems to be becoming a trend. Atlanta, Phoenix, Dallas, you know. So I had told you, I think in these situations, like, it's similar. I think of like athletic directors in college with head coaches. Like, a lot of it is relationships. So you never know who might know who, or who went to school with someone's son, or who, like, a lot of times relationships, I think, come into play. It seems like, it feels like they're probably going into this probably like casting a wide net. Kind of reminds me of when with the Knicks, when they fired Tibbs. And I thought they kind of had someone in mind, but it turns out they casted a wide net. They were even going after coaches that were already employed. So they were really keeping their options open. I think the Liberty are going to cast a really wide net here. We've seen the number, like the amount of money. I think they've got a lot of money to spend. I think they're looking to throw a big bag at a coach that that obviously aligns with what they're trying to do. But I think even the GM brought up words like innovative and we need to evolve. And so I think they're looking for something that's a little more innovative, someone that's a little more, I guess, forward thinking. And I don't know if that means younger, if that means going after a college coach. That could mean a few different things. So it's surprising, but I do think the Liberty are in such a great place as an organization. Not to say you can just put anybody in there as the head coach, but I think they've got smart people. I think they've got a great roster. I think they're in a great place as a franchise where this may not set them back too much, but it's going to be fascinating. I don't know where they're going with this, but it's going to have to be somebody who comes with some cachet, right? Like basketball wise, and just as like someone who's a leader, like a proven leader.
I have so many concerns about this. I mean, the big thing for me is you look at, have you taken a peek, and you and I have joked about this a couple of times because free agency this year is kind of crazy, but have you taken a peek at specifically the number of players that the Liberty are not going to have as restricted free agents going into next offseason?
Yeah.
It's an insane number. Emma Meeseman is a free agent next year. Brianna Stewart's a free agent. Sabrina Ionescu, Natasha Cloud, Jonquil Jones, Betnijah Hamilton, Kennedy Burke, Izzy Harrison. Like, these are all players who were instrumental in what they were able to do this year, but also instrumental in them winning a championship last season. Now you're firing the head coach. Like, GM said, we're not like going to rush it. But in my mind, I'm like, you kind of want to have a timeline to this, because you want to have a coach in place by the time free agency opens up. Because if you're going to fire the coach who brought you your first championship and all of these players were on that team, you're going to want to give them some time to at least know who this new head coach is going to be, maybe get acclimated a little bit with who that person is before they decide about whether or not they're going to return to your basketball team next season. The other thing I've seen a lot is, and you brought this up to me when we were talking about it initially, and then I kind of thought more about how if you're going to fire someone of Sandy's caliber, or when you fire, a coach of any level, the expectation is you're going to get someone that you perceive to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people kind of say Lisa Leslie. Like, that's been the thing. I've seen a lot of people say Lisa Leslie, and I'm like, I get it. Love Lisa. Lisa's one of the great, but to me, and I've even told you this, I don't think Lisa Leslie is the coach for New York. I think Lisa Leslie is the coach for Seattle, because you have an Ezzy Magbagor, you have a Dominique Malonga, you even have you have young post players who would greatly benefit from having one of the all-time greats in Lisa Leslie, who was a post player, be their head coach. Like, that doesn't feel like that's the fit for the type of team that the Liberty are. The other thing that's concerning to me, and this isn't necessarily like Sandy Brondello specific, but in that list of quotes, I saw something about how they were saying that they're also going to be exploring Sabrina Ionescu's backcourt mate.
Yeah.
I don't think that Natasha Cloud is the appropriate backcourt mate for Sabrina Ionescu. They want someone who's a better shooter and things of that nature. And I'm just thinking about like all of the different things that have come out over time since this has happened. I mean, this happened earlier this week. So like all these various quotes, I'm just really scratching my head as to like the direction of this team. Because this is a team who, when their best three players, Stewie, JJ, and Sab, when they were all available, they were undefeated. They were like 12-0, 13-0, something like that. So that's why you and I were kind of confused. Everyone was kind of confused. And then it comes out today that it's like, oh, this is already in the works. Well, then it's like,
wow.
And now you're saying, well, the championship just delayed it. So it's like, then
yeah,
if the championship delayed it, I get that. But then you can't possibly look at this season and say this season should have also delayed it because everybody was hurt.
Right.
So that's why I'm sitting there. So that's why, again, it's like whoever they have in mind, whether that's by connections or whoever they get from this wide net, they must be confident that this person is essentially going to be able to show up and win themselves and win them a championship in 2026. That's the only way that this makes sense. Because if a championship delayed it, but this season didn't delay it, considering all the injuries they were dealing with, you got to go. Whoever you hire has to bring you a championship in 2026, or this is really, really, really going to look bad. And for the Sandy Brondello side of things, she's off to Portland or Toronto for sure. Like, as Cheryl Reeve said it, and Carolyn Peck said it as well after the game on SportsCenter, like,
yeah,
whoever, whichever, like, those two teams better be on the phone with Sandy Brondello right now, trying to bring her in, because they're just being gifted one of the best coaches that you couldn't ask for a better first coach as an expansion team. And then Sandy Brondello. It's all so weird. I don't know. Maybe we'll get clearer details when someone writes a book in 5 to 10 years, or we get a Amazon Prime doc or anything. But I just feel like I get the in-game adjustments and the bench thing, but it has to be bigger than that.
yeah.
Like, even that to me, because to me, and maybe this is the non-basketball in me, winning a championship should undo all of that.
Yeah.
Because if that's her coaching style, that won you a championship.
Yeah.
So in my mind, that championship shouldn't have just delayed it. That should have been like, oh, you're good.
I can't speculate on this from like any real knowledge. I haven't seen or read or heard anything of anyone talking about this specifically, but I brought up Maureen Johannes to you recently about how she was just not looking like she even wanted to play basketball this season. Like, she came off the bench for the Liberty every game I watched. I promise you, it just wasn't the same spark, the same creative flow and energy that I'm used to seeing from Maureen. I certainly, again, I'm not speculating or tying that to the Sandy thing, but again, she shortened her rotation come postseason, and she shortened it with a team that was injury ridden all season. I don't know if that's playing a part here. I don't know if there's a thing related to, because again, I think about the GM talking about, the way the league is changing and evolution and being more dynamic or innovative. I saw people pointing to Sabrina's bad shooting performance. The Sabrina thing, even with that, like, I don't know if there's a feeling maybe about how Sandy has coached Sabrina or not coached Sabrina, right? If there's maybe a thing of, again, like, maybe being innovative. I feel like the Liberty has had, from a roster standpoint, they have one of the most talented rosters. I think it's not like you need to have some groundbreaking, offensive system or anything, but I feel like what I've seen them doing on the floor offensively and defensively the last couple of years, maybe most of it has been based on their talent. Maybe there's been a question about like how much Sandy has actually, again, like, put them in position to do different things. Maybe there are people who were getting into the details of it, like, man, we could do better. Like, maybe they're looking at coaches, like, again, just from the outside in, I feel like I see Nate Tibbetts, and I hate to draw this because, again, I'm not trying to advocate for just getting more male head coaches in the WNBA just for the heck of it. I think it should be about the strongest basketball minds. There are extremely strong basketball minds that are female and male. So you just got to go looking for the right ones and what you're looking for. But I think they might see like a Nate Tibbetts in Phoenix, who I feel like from the outside, you can see the influence of his coaching on that team. I don't know if I necessarily she's the head coach, and so she gets the credit as the head coach who was there when they won a championship. I don't know if I can't, and I'm not saying there's not an impact, and there's not, again, I think Sandy draws up great stuff. The stuff the Liberty have run and the stuff they've done offense, I feel like I have seen that imprint of her coaching with this group. I think that was a big part of them becoming a championship team. I think I had seen that. But I don't know if it was, I don't know if I felt like I saw it as much of an imprint as I'm seeing with like a Nate Tibbetts in Phoenix. Carl Smezko in Atlanta. You're literally seeing the difference in how the team operates in individual players. Look, Sab has had these last couple of years, I think Sab has had great seasons. I know her 3-point shooting numbers went down, but like, people forget how good she looked in the first couple months of the year. She made like over 100, and I forget the number now. It's like over 162 pointers this year, but it's her career high on twos this year. Like, and I mentioned to you at points on the podcast throughout the season, I'm like, guys, look how good Sabrina looks right now. She's turning the corner. She's got a hop in her step. She's making great passing reads. Like, she looked really good the first couple months of the season. She went down. She had a little injury. She missed some time. She came back. She wasn't looking as good. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like Sandy they could have been just fine with Sandy going forward. Clearly somebody or a couple somebodies saw things where they felt like they could do better. They could get somebody in there that could maximize more of what they have and what they're looking to have, I guess, going forward in the future. Because as we know, the stars are getting younger. The game the game itself is changing and evolving. And so you have to evolve with it. And so maybe they felt like she had maybe kind of hit her ceiling.